to see you. I hope that you're well. We're starting a new week, so I hope you're really, really excited and looking forward to an amazing week ahead. The show is Your World. My name is Winnie Lubembe. Super, super happy to see you guys this morning. Even as we begin a very important conversation that, honestly, if you ask me, we should be talking about it every single day. And we have had that conversation more or less right here on Your World before. But again, this time around, we just want to look beyond the quotes, okay? And beyond the tussle, and especially when it comes to parents, you know, fighting for the kids and whatnot, and we drag ourselves to court. What exactly does a child need? Okay, and this is across all quarters, at home, at school, and even as they grow up. What kind of support should we be giving our children? So the focus of the conversation today, like I said, is on children's rights and protection. And we're looking at what every child deserves to grow up safe, okay? And even now, like majority of the parents have said that kids actually grow up, or have grown up rather, on the internet, in the digital space. So then how do we make sure that we protect them in the digital spaces as well, without necessarily denying them you know, a chance to actually just see what is happening in the digital space? Because even learning right now, we're doing that digitally, okay? So then how do we ensure that our children are safe in the digital spaces as well? So we have such a comprehensive panel this morning, and you will meet them in just a second. But before you meet them, just to remind you on the question of the day this morning, and the question is very simple, and we say, if you could go back, okay, what would you change about how you were raised? Okay, if you could go back, say, to your childhood, how would you change how you were raised? There's someone who actually texted me on WhatsApp. I'm just going to read his comment. This is James Nyabera. I'm pretty sure you have seen him before. There you have it. Question of the day: what would you change about how you were raised? At NTV Kenya across all board is how you can reach us on our digital platforms, or make sure that you use our WhatsApp number 0112 500 400 and tell us what is it that you would change about how you were raised, okay? So James Nyabera texted me on WhatsApp yesterday night and said, I would actually change how emotions were handled. And he continues to say, I would want feelings to be named, not silenced. I'd want to be told that sadness, fear, and confusion were normal and not weakness. I would change how mistakes were treated. Instead of punishment or shame, I would choose curiosity. What went wrong? What can you learn? And I'd want room to fail safely. I would change how communication happened. I would want adults to listen more than lecture, to ask, how are you really? And mean it. Oh, I really, really like this. Thank you so much, James. But hey, tell us, what would you change about how you were raised? And that is, like I said, at NTV Kenya across all board is how you can reach us. And as you prepare for that, or probably want to ask a question in terms of, you know, raising our children and how much we can protect them, and especially in the digital spaces. Let me introduce my guest this morning. And like I said, we have a full panel and a comprehensive panel, different people representing or coming from different spaces to really focus on one important conversation. And this is as far as our children are concerned. And on my immediate left is not a new face. We know her, okay? And we have the Principal Secretary, State Department for Children's Services. We have Karen Agengo. Karibu sana. Good to see you this morning. Happy New Year, because I have not seen you this New Year.
Happy New Year. And to all our viewers, Happy New Year to all of you, and to our parents and children. Happy New Year to all. I am very pleased to be at the studio at the NTV.
Karibu sana. And next to Karen, we have Dr. Beatrice Muthoni Mainge, who is a mental health practitioner as well as a child psychologist. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Karibu sana. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
You were with us last year.
Yes.
So Karibu sana.
Asante.
Good to see you, and good to have you on the show as well. And next to Dr. Beatrice, we have Valorie Thomas, who is a transformational empowerment coach, joining us this morning. Thank you so much for making the time. Happy New Year. How are you? How are you doing? How's the new year?
I am well. I am excited and feel blessed to be here at NTV this morning with all these amazing women and the conversation that we will have.
Absolutely. And we're happy to have you as well. And at the back, I'm sure you can see them, okay? At the back, we have Jen Ndabuki on my far left. Yes, Jen Ndabuki is the trust and safety child online safety professional. Karibu sana. Good to have you. you. Thank you for making the time. Happy New Year as well.
Happy New Year.
And we also have Daisy Chebet, who is a youth advocate. Thank you so much, Daisy, for joining us. Happy New Year as well. Good to see you, Karibu Sana, on the show.
Thank you so much, and Happy New Year.
All right. And we'll be joined shortly by Dr. Paul Wanjohi, who is an academic coach, to really also contribute to this very important conversation. But Madam P.S., allow me to start with you. Again, when we're looking at child services and child protection, most of the time we look at the courts and what the Constitution says, and most of the time it's usually when we're fighting, right, on the tussle. But child rights, it goes way beyond just education and good health and the right to food and shelter and whatnot. There's so much when we're talking about child rights, right? Can we just talk about them? Some even that we don't even think about, but is actually considered as a child right according to the Constitution.
Thank you very much. I will talk about the rights of children according to our Constitution. Article 53 of the Constitution provides for various rights of children. And the basic, more important right is the right to parental care. And all children are entitled to parental care. Care from both parents, the mother and the father. A child is also entitled to basic education, and that is why we stress that every child must go to school, and we do have our chiefs going to every single household to ensure a child is not left behind at home. Also, we do have the right to health care. And this, again, the government provides through giving various vaccines at the early childhood. And also, when children are sick, they are entitled to be given health care at the hospital. So we do have various rights. And I can not highlight all of them, but I would also just put it to the attention of the public that we do also have the Children's Act, and Section 11 of the Children's Act also highlights the various rights of children. And this is the most important thing, and the parent plays a big role in fulfilling these rights. And also children have a right to justice, and so that is why you see when children are in court, they are represented. They have a right of representation, and they are given free representation from the government, because a child is protected even when they have court matters.
I see that. And Dr. Vicious, just to bring you in, when we look at this rights, right, most parents would say, yes, I would like to raise my child, say in a certain way, and us millennials were saying, I want to raise my child in a way that I was not raised, okay? So there's that part where it's sort of like innate, right? Where we want the best for our children. But then again, the reality is not all children get to enjoy some of these rights that Madam P.S. has mentioned. So from your experience, what would you say are some of the most abused sort of like rights or children are being denied, and probably why? Why do we see some of these rights actually abused or denied to our children?
Thank you for that question. You know, in the mental health space, we talk about the nature-nurture big debate, because there are those things that you cannot change about a child, the genes and everything. But then the other part is the world of the environment, the environmental upbringing, what the child is exposed to. And that is now the part that the parents and the caregivers come in, and the community. And we also talk about the adverse childhood experiences, and these are the negative experiences that children go through when they are growing up, and these are the ones that now affect them later in life. And that is where we see violation of some of these rights that the PS is talking about protection, like when children are neglected, they are left alone in the house, issues like abandonment, you know, like when parents fight and one of them leaves, and the children are left blaming themselves. We must be very bad children. That's why our father walked away. You know, issues like even, you know, neglect, you know, battering, you know, exposure to abuse you know, physical and psychological, or this, you know, like when children are beaten, you know, or, you know, any kind of abuse, even being denied, you know, human rights, being denied basic needs, even growing up in an atmosphere where, you know, parents are exposing these children to abject lack, you know, like they lack food, they lack decent clothing, you know, because it is the work of the parent to ensure that this bit of environment is taken care of. So when we talk about adverse childhood experiences, they happen when children are growing up. And that is why, as mental health specialists, we like to create awareness, just letting parents know that how are your actions and decisions affecting your children. What is the, you know, what are the repercussions of the decisions that you're making? Like when you fight in front of your children, what message are you communicating to these children? When they're in the house alone without anyone to take care of them, they feel exposed, they feel unsafe. How is it going to affect them later in life? Because like I work in a mental health hospital. I'm a psychologist. And some of the issues that we encounter with teenagers and other young people, you would think they were brought up by the same parents because they are complaining about the same things. Our parents were fighting. We were neglected. You know, same things happening. And so this, what we are doing is creating awareness among parents so that they are aware that when I do this, it is likely to affect the decisions that my child is going to make later in life.
And even just how they grow and how they interact with others. I wonder how much of that, because that's very concerning when you're saying they're complaining about the same thing and yet they've been raised by different parents. So what exactly does that say about our family setup and in the family unit as a whole? And I wonder how much of that the digital has, or technology rather, has brought about. We'll come to you in just a second, Jane. But Valerie, when we're looking at education, which is again one of the fundamental rights of a child, it doesn't matter whether they're in Kenya, whether they're in Uganda, whether they're in the United States, it is the same when we're talking about their rights. So can we talk about education and all forms of education, how important it is when it comes to nurturing a child, ensuring that even the environment at school is safe and how that impacts their lives?
Well, what we've heard a little bit here is that access is key. And so, and access also creates a perception of separation, right, that is digested internally. So that begins to foster something as well, right? And access, it's often depends on circumstances, right? And it drills down to the perception, because I don't have this, then I am that. I become my circumstances. So for me, the work of transformation is to pull that apart. You are not your circumstances, right? Your circumstances are the things that are around you that are giving, but who you are, my job is to support youth, any human being to locate who they are. Aside of all of that.
You know what, I'm smiling because just like last week when we were having a conversation about setting New Year goals and understanding who are you before you even set those goals, and that came out very strongly, that there's the you that you are born with. I don't know if that makes sense, but then again there's also you that the world has sort of shaped you. So the point is to help someone understand who they are, you know, primarily, which is very fundamental, because then that informs how we make decisions, how we interact with other people. I see that, and we'll come back to you to understand more in terms of when we're looking at from a transformational coach. Perspective, we're told you're not who you are, and your circumstances does not have to define who you are. So then how do we understand that and help us to really shape who we are as a people, and children for that matter, because it starts from a young age, right? I know we are due on a break, and I do not want to rush you too into contributing to this. So probably let's take a break, and then when we come back, we'll start with you too, Chebet and Daisy, in terms of, because you're not just youth advocate, but you're also a teacher as well. So from a teacher's perspective, again, you know, helping the children, and also from the digital space, how do we make sure that the children are safe? But before that, just a reminder on the question that we're asking you this morning, and the question is very simple, okay? What would you change about how you were raised, okay? What would you change about how you were raised and why? Tell us the why, because I think the why is very, very important. At NTV Kenya, across all, what is how you can reach us. We'll be looking at your feedback when we come back from the break. But the question is, what would you change about how you were raised and why? See you after the break. Welcome back to the show. 32 minutes past the hour. The conversation today is focused on our children, and given in mind that they're going back to school, okay? What's not what message, okay, but what foundation are they going back to school? And for those ones who are actually joining schools as well, what foundations have we laid as parents? Do we protect them enough? Do we provide for them enough? And when we're talking about providing, it's not just the material things, but also care, as well. Are they emotionally, say, stable and safe to go to school and also interact with others? And even when we're looking at the digital spaces as well, have we provided a safe space for them to, yes, interact digitally, but also understand how important it is for them to be very careful who they are interacting with, and also to report if they notice 1 or 2 or 3 things that is a little bit amiss when we're looking at the digital spaces as well. And even in school, okay, have we empowered our teachers enough to make sure that they're taking out care of our children? So today we're looking at just the child rights, and protection holistically, not just in certain aspects of their lives, but in a holistic manner. And we're looking at what every child deserves to grow up safe. And we also have a question for you this morning. The question is very simple, and that is, what would you change about how you were raised? And tell us why, okay? Are there some aspects of your lives that you're like, looking back, we would change? Some people are saying how we were raised in terms of tulitandikwa, we were tapward, okay? We would change that. But really, let us know, what is it that you would change in terms of how you were raised, and tell us why. But when we're talking about the digital spaces, Jane as well, just take us through what you've seen so far, right? When we're looking at how our children are interacting in the digital spaces, how much of access they have or lack of it, thereof, and what we need to do as a people, as parents, as, the GAVA, we have the GAVA represented here, but also you as the safety professional in this case today. What is it that you're seeing?
Yeah. So I like what you say, like it's a holistic experience, that in the sense that the physical, the mental, emotional, and also the digital well-being. Yeah. When you remove one aspect, it causes an imbalance for the rest of it. Yeah. So in terms of digital spaces, the way the child is being raised, it also affects the experience in digital spaces, and also the access. I work as an education and training manager, and when you go to train these kids, the question that we often ask is, what account are you using? Are you using your parents' account? Okay. Are you using your account? Yeah, because when a kid is using their own account, there are certain safeguards that are there from the platform. Okay. But you see, nowadays the parents are mostly shika usinisumbue.
Oh yes.
Usinisumbue, like I'm doing this right now, but no. So you give them access to this content that's meant for 18 and above. Yes. So they have this experience, adult experience, and they are very, very young. So what they should do mostly, like the parents, I like what James said, by the way, the communication. It's very
profound, yeah. Very, very
For
profound.
the parents, they should be interested in what their children are doing. Yeah. Like, you don't have to know all the applications, just be interested. Yeah. You see Roblox, yeah. What do you do on Roblox? Just be interested, and you learn with them. Okay. Because it's a learning experience. Process, and the internet, it's here to stay. It is. Whether we like it or not. Yeah. So we better grow with it.
You know what? Someone actually said, for those parents who are like, even by internet, maybe that's on you. Someone said, then you're doomed. Because it is here to stay. And even when we're looking at education, right? Most kids are actually learning online. Yeah. So if you're not interested in what your child is doing or what is happening, online, then you're actually doomed. Yeah. And one of the online safety professionals as well was here some I think last year before we took a break, and they're saying now we're seeing a lot of children who are saying, yes, I get bullied online. Yes, I have had some people probably speak to me inappropriately and whatnot. When I'm telling you as a parent, I'm not telling you to act. Yeah, I am just telling you so that you know what is happening, because sometimes I would probably want to solve this on my own. So when I'm telling you, don't act, don't react, but I'm like, but I'm a parent. I would want to protect you. So then where do we draw the line? Probably we'll talk about it, you know, sometime during the show. But Daisy, again, like we said, you're not just a youth advocate, but I want to believe the youth advocacy came from somewhere. Okay, so to tie that to what you're doing as well, and that is teaching, you know, during the day, what is it that you're seeing as a teacher, and what would you say your role is in ensuring that you're contributing towards raising this child and ensuring that their rights, you know, are protected instead of denying them, and what is it that we can do better as teachers?
Well, okay, as a teacher, we're not just offering the classroom content alone. We're making sure that we're offering the spaces that these kids are able to express themselves. Yes, so that they may be ready to take in the content that the classroom needs or requires. So we have the spaces, we have the facilities, we have all the personnel that are there for these kids. They are there to listen to these kids, air whatever they experience at home. If they are some of the life challenges, you know, as my colleague said here, there are so many things that happen at home, and many a times they come to school when they're disturbed, whether they're in boarding school or in day schools. These kids experience a lot of things, and so we're not just teachers. We play the roles of parents as well in school. We want to offer a safe space for these kids to express themselves, so that when they go sit in their classroom, they'll be ready to listen and take in the content so that they can apply in their daily lives.
Just like James has said, listen and really proactively listen because again, when you look at a child's life, they spend majority of the times in schools, you know, in classrooms as well, just like us adults, we spend majority of our hours in workspaces and in the offices as well. So then how do we ensure that it doesn't matter where they are at, they feel safe and loved and protected? You know, I was looking at child rights and what that looks like from you know, like the UN perspective, and there's something here that really caught my attention, and that is the participation aspect, where it says there's a right to express views and be heard in matters concerning them, because majority of the times we make decisions for them without necessarily involving them. So then what does that space look like, and how much of freedom do we give them to either express themselves but also consult them? But also, can we touch a little bit on vulnerable children? I mean, you talked about access, Daisy, but also when we're looking at education, sometimes access is not equal, you know, for so many kids. There's some who have access to good schools and whatnot, and there's some who completely do not have that. So, and also children, you know, says living with disabilities, they will also have those ones who are orphaned, you know, don't have parents to look after them and care for them. So then how does the government come in to fill in, you know, these gaps and ensure that no child lacks anything based on what they have or what they don't have?
Thank you for that very important question. As we have seen, children have various rights, and when you talk of basic care in terms of vulnerable children, then the government comes in terms of social protection to ensure these children are protected. Protected from, in terms of providing their basic needs, protected in terms of the household where they live, and also even protected in terms of access to basic education and health. And so for vulnerable children, the government is very keen on supporting the families that are living with these children. We do have children who are orphaned at a very early age and living with relatives. Currently, the government is supporting 448,000 families. Those are households living with orphans and vulnerable children. This is to cushion these families, to ensure they have access to education. So we do give them a cash transfer on a monthly basis, 2,000 Kenya shillings to families living with these children. And this enables them to go to school, enables them to have some food on the table. And actually, my visit somewhere in Kilifi established that when we give these households this money, some of them have used this to empower themselves. And they have even used this money to start small business, which is now earning them more than even that 2,000 per month. And so it is supplementing their household income to ensure they meet these basic rights that we're talking about. So the government really has a responsibility to provide for children who are vulnerable, in as much as the parents who are there also provide for their children for the basic needs.
Do you feel like the numbers could be higher in terms of those ones who would need government support, and also in terms of the emotional support as well? Because we have seen other families who are like, fine, I will take in, say, an orphan child. I'll try as much as possible and raise them as my own. But others actually abuse them, you know, and use them, say, for labor and whatnot. So then how does the government come in to not just ensure that there's cash transfers to cushion these families, but also ensure that there's emotional support for this child, that they do not feel lesser off just because they have lost their parent?
Yes, it is true that government has various programs. That was just but one of the programs. I want to highlight the government's support to vulnerable families include going to the extent of giving psychosocial support. And when children lose their family members, we have children officers who are based in the sub-county level, supporting these families, giving counseling services to ensure they get back to normal. Cases of emergencies where parents have died from an accident, flooding, fires, and drought situations, we do have programs to support such emergencies. And this is one of the ways where the government will come in to support. I also want to highlight that we have parenting guidelines which are being also implemented by the government to support families that are living with children, whether orphaned or not, because we believe that when parents are trained to do proper parenting, then they'll be able to do their role properly. And we also, to avoid abuse of children, in cases where children are vulnerable, especially for orphans, we do have what we are calling foster care programs. We have trained a number of parents in this country, and they are called foster parents. They are fully trained by the State Department for Children's Services, where they are told how to take care of these children. And these are assessed. The parents are assessed, and once we see you qualify to be a foster parent, then we will release a child who is vulnerable to you. And this is just to encourage that children should live within a family setup rather than sending the children to the children's home. We believe the place of children is within the family and not at the institutions, because research has shown that children who are living in the institutions have developmental issues. They have issues of confidence is eroded, even in terms of their learning potential is eroded because they do not live in a normal family environment. So therefore we, as the State Department for Children's Services, we support foster care and alternative forms of family care. And we do have a strategy, which is a 10-year strategy from the year 2022 to 2032. To implement alternative family care, where parents are continuously being trained in Kenya to take care of children who do not have parents, children who are abandoned. Talking of options like adoption, kinship, people taking in their relatives instead of allowing them to be left in their children's institutions. And so before somebody takes care of such a child, we ensure that this person is a person who will take care of this child safely, and there's monitoring after the child is taken to this family, a follow-up by the children officer to ensure abuse is not there.
Okay, good. That's good to hear. But then again, so that, because when you look at our culture, and it's easy for us to say, yeah, I'll take care of, instead of having the government to sort of like be involved in deciding where this child goes. So maybe like, do we need to sort of like strengthen that when it comes to some of our laws and whatnot? We'll come back to you to talk about that. But Valerie, you also deal with vulnerable children as well. So from what you've seen so far, what is it that then we can do more to support them? What kind of support do they need, other than just being placed in a stable family, being provided for when it comes to food, shelter, and education? What more can we do?
It is to enforce their identity for personal power, right? In transformational work and doing the work that I've done with young adults and executives, one thing that I've come to know, which motivates me, is that oftentimes the perceptions shape, but they are not reality. They are just perceptions, right? And so the perception of power being something that you get is all wrong, because true power is something that you give. It is shared, harambe, right? And so what is very important, even for children, but even for adults, every human being deserves to be seen, heard, but even more than that, felt. That speaks to identity. That allows a child, even an adult, to locate themselves in because here's where I am. Someone sees me here, so now I have identity. And to be able to, with all the services, to be able to feed that identity is what empowerment and transformation is about.
And also when you're talking about identity, and just to speak a little bit on say children living with disabilities, most of the time is we make decisions for them, without necessarily involving them, just to ask them, what is it that you would like, or how would you like us to support you? We don't do that. We just make decisions for them and then expect them to be okay with whatever decision that we've made.
And it makes all the difference, right? Because even with disabilities, for a child to hear their own voice, to be acknowledged, is identity.
It is identity.
It's power, it's encouragement, it's esteem, right? And to be able to incorporate practices for that, even with disabled children, they become more empowered in their disability. And so I think for every human being, especially children, as they are developing, to create space for them to be seen, heard, and felt that's theirs, it translates in personal power.
Personal power, I like that. And speaking about, because I think with the PS you mentioned practice proper parenting, right? And majority of the times we hear this saying that parenting, there's no manual. You know, it's like you're literally put on the job and you're supposed to figure it out, as you bring this child up. But there's this thing where we hear people say that children need you differently at different stages, of their growth. So probably can we talk about that? Because we're talking about children, we're not just talking about the under fives. We have the 16-year-olds, we have the 17-year-olds as well. And they would need parents differently from, say, a 5-year-old or a 4-year-old. So then how do we ensure that we're sort of like parenting differently, but also the same? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, it is good that parents understand that children develop in stages, just like you have said, and that they have different needs at every stage. Like, for example, a young baby who has just been born, they want to, they want to understand that they can trust the world. And so it is the parent who will do that through the nurturing that they do. Then as they grow, they want to be made to understand that they can win in their small battles in school and all that. And as we come to the adolescents, they are now in school, they are competing with other children, and they want to be made to understand that the little victories that they make are being admired by their parents, and they are being encouraged. And then at the teenage, they are now you know, in that age where they are confused and they don't know what they want to become.
It's a lot happening to our body.
A lot happening. And so they are asking themselves, who am I and what can I become? And it is a very critical stage when a parent must, you know, navigate that stage with the children, because that is where most of them get lost. There's a lot of confusion in that age. So it is about parents understanding what is it that my child needs in every stage. Because we equip children with what we call psychological tools to be able to win in life. And if they miss any of the tools, maybe from, you know, when they are very young, they miss that tool of I can trust the world. You know, at the age of 7, at the age of 14, if they miss any psychological tool, then it is the one that manifests as a problem later on. You know, and parents need to understand that, you know, a child, the moment you bring a child into this world, it is like you have wet clay in your hands, and it is upon you to know what is it that I want to make out of this clay. What kind of child do I want 18 years down the line? And so you become very intentional in what you do with that child. If I can talk about the, you know, what parents need to know, that there are 5 A's that every child needs. And when they understand this, then they are able to support their children, to nurture them in what we say the nature nurture. You know, give them admiration. You know, like I admire what you're doing. You know, whatever, when they come home with the grades you're saying, you are looking at what they have done well before you start condemning. You know, you have done well in this, you have done well in this, but we can improve on this. They need affirmation. You know, they need to hear the mother saying well done, the father saying well done. They need acceptance to know that yes, you have not scored as well as other children, but you are my child first and foremost, and I love you just the way you are. As we keep on working on the areas that need improvement. So when a child is bringing home the grades, what belongs to you permanently is the child. So you accept, you take the child first, and then you talk about the grades. You know, they also need allowing. You need to give them a bit of space so that they can also navigate the world. They can make their mistakes as you correct them. So it is just a matter of, and I like what the PS has said, training parents on intentional parenting, because the things that we do with our children is what now translates into what they become. Issues of mental health, issues of, you know, suicidal ideations, they all begin at the foundation. Because someone once said, I first am before I become. You see, it is what the caregivers and the parents do with the child at that foundational stage that now may, you know, determine what they become. And it is not a straight line. Maybe there are some interventions that can be done in between, the way, so that if there are any mistakes along the way, they can be corrected. But it is not all the time that children get an opportunity to have an intervention. And those are the issues now we start dealing with later on.
I see that. You know what I was writing? So admiration, affirmation, acceptance, allowance or allowing. The fifth one is
admiration.
Admiration, affirmation, acceptance, allowing, and then
I'll remember the fourth one.
Good,
fantastic. As we go along.
All right. And also, again, we're women, right? And I do not want to assume that all of us are mothers here. So for those of us who are mothers, and even those of us who are not, right? Probably one way or the other, we're raising, you know, nieces, nephews and whatnot. So I'm also curious to understand, how are you raising, you know, your children, just to ensure that what we are talking about today is not just us saying, but it's also practiced at home. But before that, Daisy, just to bring you in, and especially when we're looking at the 16, 17, probably like 15, you know, the preteens towards the teenagehood as well, what is it that you've noticed, you know, among them so far, and also in your advocacy journey? What is it that you'd want us and us in terms of the government, you know, say people in the mental health spaces, in schools as well, and, you know, transformational coach, you know, we have her here today. What is it that we can all do to support them? Because we've tackled school, we've tackled, you know, parenting as well, but within themselves, what is it that you're noticing that probably we could contribute better to support them?
Okay, mental issue is on the rise right now among the teens. So many things are happening. You know, they're in the social media spaces, they see a lot of things happening, and dealing with the changes that comes with their life. You know, they're aging, they're moving from one stage to the other. And I think that I'd love to advocate to the government to partner with us, to partner with the non-governmental organizations to come up with campaigns that deal with mental
I
problems.
see that.
Yes.
Yeah, and also I'd like to hear from you, like from your personal journey, because I know you sort of like positively impacted, and I don't know how much of that you'd also want to share with us, so that when we're looking at raising our children holistically, we're saying, hey, listen, sometimes you might not get probably that support that you need from your parent, but you can get from, say, a transformational coach. You can get from, a psychologist. Here, Gava can also come in, and support us. Jade, we have like a minute or so to go on a break, but hey, Philip can buy us like 30 more seconds. In terms of also understanding the digital spaces and teaching our children how to safely navigate, what would you say, or what can we teach our children in terms of safely navigating the digital spaces, so that instead of just denying them the gadgets or denying them probably from opening accounts, we allow them a little bit of that space. We've been taught about allowing, but also with a bit of guidance as well, so that they are still safe, but also are able to interact with the others.
Okay, for one, us as the adults, we need to stay informed on the dangers that are online, because the online world, it's like an imitation of the real world, but it's not real world. Because when you talk to children, you ask them like the friends that they have online, and you hear them saying like 5,000. You ask them like, out of these 5,000 friends, how many do you know personally? So they call these people friends. Then you go back and ask them like, what is a friend mean to you? Like, how do you make friends? Like, you have to teach them that there are these online risks that are there, like the cyberbullying, online grooming. You have like to diligently like tell them, explain to them like there are dangers. Vile tu utatoka pale nje, even in the online world, it is there. So you have to know, you as an adult, and I like the question that you asked, like how as we how are we doing it? Because we should walk the talk.
That's true.
We walk the talk.
We walk the talk. We'll find out after the break, because I'm really curious to understand how you guys are doing it. But also, when we're looking at AI, for example, right? Was it last year where we had this child who unfortunately sort of like unalived themselves because they were coached, by AI on how to do that, right? Do you wanna say something? Can we do that after the break?
This is the danger, because the internet and AI is wide open access, and children not knowing, they're actually looking for a place of identity, which is also key to belonging. And in looking for belonging, they are searching. And as parents, sometimes the parents are working, they say it's okay because they're learning online, but without the supervision, the child is seeking his own belonging and creating a whole perception and identity that we are not even aware of, that later translates into mental illness because it's misdirected.
I see.
Belonging is such a key thing in development.
And like someone said, we all need that sense of belonging, and to at least help us to really understand our identity, and also inform us who we are and the decisions that we're making and why we're making those decisions. Very profound. Okay, let's take a break, and then when we come back, we will get to understand deeper in terms of how you guys parenting your kids or your nieces and nephews and the people around you. But the question of the day is, what would you change about how you were brought up and why? Philip, just one comment. This person says, this is Hilary Koeche, who says, Lubembe, ile vita nilipigwa za mangumi and the whips on the head, because he used to say that the head has refused to listen. I'm sure all of us can relate to that, right? And he says he used to wake up in the morning and in the evening to see him again, and vita ni ile tu. So I'd say parents should talk more with their kids. When he arrives from work, we would leave the sitting room and leave him alone to watch TV. I think they're talking about the dad, which I think is a familiar story for most of us. Dad walks in, everybody walks out. And then Max says, just seeing my parents not being introduced to their photos.
Very, very important.
Right?
Parental presence.
It's important. I see that. And then there's someone here who says, Xavier Waidaka, who says education. Hawa Mohammed says to be raised by my own parents. And then Jerry Kathika says to be the firstborn. They would change that. Not want to be the firstborns. Another one says religion. Okay. And then another one says loving too much. I wish I was heartless. Loving too much. Oh, how they wish they were raised is loving too much. I wish I was heartless.
This parent probably feels that she was very accommodative and not correcting. I think there is a part of correction. When the child is wrong, then the parent should also be open to correct.
I see.
And I think this is what the
they're talking about.
Is saying.
I see. Interesting. Well, keep sending them our way, okay? At NTV Kenya across all board. Or if you want to call us and tell us how you were raised and what you would like to change, by all means, feel free to do so, okay? And if you are a parent right now and you're watching us, how were you parented and how are you parenting your child as well? I'm curious to also hear that. Well, let's talk more after the break. And there's still so much to discuss on the other side, so do stay with us. All right, welcome back officially in the second hour to the conversation. And this is where we talk about fine. So we have laid ground in terms of parenting and what children need and what role we play, not just as parents, but as teachers, as, mental health advocates, as psychologists, everybody involved, even Gava. We have Gava here today, to help us with that, okay? All right, so the question that we're asking you this morning is, what would you change about how you were raised and why? That is the question that we are asking you this morning. Ocheo Kenneth on Facebook says, I'd give my younger version money. I would give myself money. But really, what is it that you would change, in terms of how you were raised and why? That is the question that we are asking you this morning, okay? And even during the break, again, of course, the show continues, even during the break. And remember that part where we were asking Sawa. So we're talking about raising our children and helping them to find their identity and whatnot. But how are we doing it? Okay, so are we all mothers? Are we all raising children and whatnot? Madam Pierce, we start with you. How are you doing it? Just give us your example, and then we'll also talk about the role that fathers play as well.
I want to talk about raising children. Is not about providing luxury to children. Raising children is about being involved in the life of the children. And so I was listening to one of the viewers who is saying I would talk about money. So we have these parents who are giving money, but give the money and you're not present. The child is destroyed. And so it is involving yourself in the life of your children, understanding their needs, understanding what they do, even in terms of online access. Digital space is becoming a threat to our children, and so as parents we really need to take keen interest on the children, what they watch, and even the time that children take on accessing internet, because they also need to have limited time so that they have other opportunity to learn outside the internet. And so a parent is the first teacher of a child, even before the child goes to school. So it is really important that a parent be involved in the life of their children.
Okay, I'm just looking at how you were parented versus how you're parenting, the child today. I'll come back and
for me,
to do that more.
I would say that I grew up when my parents were quite aged, and so they contributed. I remember, but their presence was important.
Okay.
Even though also I had a chance to interact with my siblings, but the presence of my father, even despite his old age, and my mother, is what has contributed to who I am today. And so for my children, I have one son, and I want to say that one of the key things that I talked about is not about providing luxury, but training a child that they can also be able to learn from money. And so it's not about providing luxury, but teaching the child what is right, and also being involved in their life. So I have avoided a lot of luxury to ensure right now my child is already an adult, and he is able to provide for himself because of the childhood upbringing that you have instilled stressed on. I mean, no luxury, but being involved in the life of the child.
You know what, I hear that, and I can so relate, because most of our parents, you know, would tell us that he ni yangu. Okay, hii ni yangu. So nyinyi mwende mkajitafutie. In as much as this will provide for you and ensure that you know you have a home and you're fed and whatnot, but whatever we have amassed in terms of wealth, ini yetu. Sasa nyinyi enda huko nje mkajitafutie, and then mkipata sawa, right? So I think that is very important, teaching the children, you know, some of these values when they're still very young. Dr. Beatrice, I'm keen to hear what you have to say, but we have, you know, Paul with us. But yes, Dr. Beatrice, yeah, like how were you parented and how are you parenting? What are some of these values that you're instilling in your children, you know, just to make sure that you're supporting them in a way that you can?
Thank you. You know, we say that you cannot prepare the world for your children, but you can prepare your children for the world. You know, knowing what it is that awaits them way ahead is when now you come to the drawing board and ask yourself, how do I then prepare them for the world? You know, and like the 5 A's that I was talking about, you know, being aware of this. The fifth one I had forgotten is attention. Attention. You know, so there is attention. You know, and ensuring that they see you sparing time just for them, you know, attending their school activities, you know, just being there for them. Much as they know you're busy, they can see that this time our mom has just spared time to be with us, you know, attention. So that even later when they are adults, they know that they are valued. They know that there's someone who cares. They know that there is somewhere they can fall back to. You know, also accepting the way they are. I'm a mother of 4 daughters. They are all grown. Except the little one who is 14, the others are adults. Okay. So you know, just being aware of what it is that children need for them to be able to navigate the world. So you come to the drawing board, the acceptance, you know, the affirmation. When they do something good, you're affirming them, you know, allowing, so that you also allow them, you know, their free time. But also remembering that a parent is like a rail guard. A guardrail. So much as you are allowing, you're also watching, so that when they are making mistakes, you are there to correct them. We are not talking about just allowing them to do whatever they want with their lives. It's just, you know, allowing them to, you know, make mistakes, suffer the consequences, so that they learn, you know, problem-solving skills. Because these are the skills that we need to equip them with, you know. So the way I grew up, what I would change, because that is the question we are asking today, is that I would prefer to have been brought up by my own parents. Me, I grew up with my grandmother. My mother was working far away from home. And, you know, I keep saying it is good for a parent to struggle with her own children. Because, you know, when you give them away, there is something that you communicate. It's like, I'm not valued. That's why I've been put in someone else's hands. Actually, you may grow up better in the other hands, but at the end of the day, you still ask, why is it that my parent cannot live with me? You know, that is what I would change. I would want to be brought up by my own, by my own parents. Okay. So today, like I'm saying, we cannot prepare the world for our children, but we can prepare them
for the world.
We can prepare our children for the world.
I see.
Give them attention, much as you know you may be busy. And I like what the PS said when she talked about the right to protection. When you talk about protection, it's not just protection from the risky things that we know about, people who may fight them, and all that. Yeah. We are also protecting them from some experiences.
I see. And we'll talk about those experiences and what they look like in a real world, not just, in a fantasy world, but in a real world. Yeah. And also how do we equip them with those necessary skills that they need. But Dr. Paul is here, Dr. Paul Wanjohi, who's an academic coach. Last time he was here, alitufunza, tukaimba kidogo. Dr. Paul, it's so good to see you. Karibu sana, how are you doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you.
And thank you so much for making the time, really. We'll allow you just a few minutes to settle in.
Okay.
But really the conversation today in terms of children's rights and protection, and we're looking at what every child needs, to feel safe. So from the academic perspective, what does that look like, and how can we probably equip our teachers to also take care of our children, because they spend majority of the times in school. But before that, just for you to settle in, right? Valerie. So looking at how you were raised and versus how you're raising your children now, if you have, and what you would change about them, what would you say? I know those are like 3-in-1 questions.
Right. And so raised by a single parent, right, and who worked very hard. She worked and went to school. So I had to grow up quick, to manage my younger brother and so on and so forth. Yeah. And because of that, I remember most of those times, but not so much family time, like community time. That kind of thing. Yeah. Sit down, watch popcorn. Yes. And my mother tells me, yes, we did those things, but I remember being responsible more. As a younger child.
Parenting you rather than
taking care of my brother to make my mother proud that I was able to hold it, right? But now, and so I grew up with that. And so now with my children, stepchildren, nieces, so on and so forth, I look to create spaces of community where we do things together, so I can hear really what kind of language are you using? Where did you get that from, right? But if I'm not around you and we don't know, right? And also to help, because I'm an elder, right? To help my the younger parents, cousins, and so forth, you gotta leave space for them to say all the crazy so that you can understand what is going on and help navigate your child. So what I would say to answer your question is to create intentional community and family time, right? In a different way.
I see that. I see that. Jane, especially in the digital space, and you are an online safety professional here. How are you parenting if you have children, or probably you're raising your nieces, nephews as well?
I have nephews, nieces. I don't have children. What I do is you see like how they come, like help us with your phone. We do games. I'm like, instead of playing on the phone, let's do some physical activities.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I am a big fan. I'm a big fan of these physical activities because they enhance your critical thinking. These are skills that she's talking about. Those skills are very vital because in the absence of internet, AI, what is there? What are you? So we do those activities, and the way I was parented, I wish I had someone to guide me through this internet.
Oh, the internet.
The internet. Because from a young age, I was really curious with tech, playing the Nokia 3310, those snake games.
That you eat your own tail.
So like, I wish I had someone like to guide me through. Basically I had to figure it on my own. Unakanyaga hapa, kiband, on to the next side, you learn your lesson, you rise up, and then you move on. And also what I've noticed is when you police children, they'll find a loophole and navigate. When you tell them, don't go Instagram, I'm shutting your Instagram, they will find. And believe me, there are platforms that every day we have new platforms.
Yes.
And they will find those platforms. And what happens is you are not communicating with this child, you are not being intentional with this child. So what they do, they hide. Alisema no Instagram. Let me show you. Let me show you something.
There's another one that you
I will go to. And that is where you find there are these parasocial relationships. Those are relationships with AI. They are called parasocial relationships. You find they are on the rise because they feel you are not listening to us, you are judging us. Let me go to ChatGPT because it won't judge. It's always there. Hey ChatGPT, how am I? How are you? Is it? You
But
find
I've seen people literally wanapiga story na ChatGPT. Hadi na share. You understand?
You can tailor it.
Yeah.
You can tailor it to your liking, like how you want it to speak to you. And what happens is, ni algorithm, by the way. So at the end of the day, you don't have like the human to human connection.
And probably then what do we need to do better, Dr. Riches, right? You know, about that. But before you answer that, Daisy as well, to hear from you in terms of how you're parented, if you're parenting, you know, either your children, nieces, nephews, brothers and sisters, because there's some of us were parenting our brothers and sisters. You know, how are you doing it and what is it that you would change?
I have a younger brother, and I'm always keen to listen to him because I wish I had someone to do that when I was young. I would have given myself all the safety, all the protection, all the love. Tell myself, you know, you have yourself, see myself in all the aspects, all the positive aspects that nobody would have told me. And, you know, sometimes we find ourselves being raised in family setup that, you know, there are so many kind of GBVs. Sometimes one of your parents end up in jail, so you have to live with one parent and that parent is not present. They indulge in drugs and drugs abuse. So you see there is no love, there is no, like, you know, you don't feel the love that you feel like you're supposed to be getting. And all you have to do is envy your friends because, you know, they have all the love, they have all the, you know, the brothers, the siblings, all the siblings love and the parent love, you know. And, you know, there is a certain gap that develops when you miss your parent. And that affects you emotionally such that you don't, like, self-esteem issues start affecting you. You go down and, you know, when you're kids, you want to play with others, but you know, some of the kids, depending on how they are raised, they tend to tell you, oh, you can't tell me anything, mamako alienda jail, you can't tell me anything, you know. It affects our self-esteem so much. So I wish I had, if I was taken back, I would give myself all the love.
Oh, that's deep. Thanks, Daisy. Thanks,
You're welcome.
Really, thanks for sharing that. And Dr. Paul, so when we're talking about emotional well-being and how we're raising our children and how we would want them to grow up in a safe you know, environment, and not just at home, but also at school, how then can sort of like the lack of, you know, emotional well-being, how does that then affect a child's performance, you know, in school, for example, or if they're not parented right, how does that impact, you know, their academic performance, just to link, you know, the two? Because right now, KCSE results were just released last week, and I know there's so many of you know, the learners who are still either coming to terms with the results and others actually seeking their identity based on what they have, you know, what they've gotten in their results. So probably we'll talk about that in just a second. But yes, Dr. Paul, in terms of...
Thank you very much. First, to take a moment of saying apologies for coming late.
That's okay.
I'm just from another forum like this, where we were praying for our learners across the country, that is through the Kenya Private Schools Association. And so I was actually participating in this debate, though I was not talking. I could get all what you are saying. And I would say that the listeners are quite blessed this morning for the good value that they are getting. And now from the school setup, I must say that what has been mentioned by the professionals in front of the camera is quite good. Actually, it is quite telling that if the learners are given the safe space, if their rights are well taken care of, from parenting, from the way they are handled right from home, then at school, they can end up doing well. However, there's a disclaimer here that parents might do their work well at home. They might bring up the learners in a good way, but now when these children come to school, how are the teachers handling them? Because at times, the work of the parents is watered down by what is done in our institutions.
Oh, I see.
I have ever had a case where a child came without a buttoned shirt, and the shirt was actually small in size, and this is all what the parent could afford. But the teacher was so harsh on this kid, so harsh. And the child had even been nicknamed. So I told the teacher, now, can you first of all invite that child to your desk, talk to them, and listen to their part of the story. Just to realize that this boy or this child, the mother had passed on.
Oh no.
The father was now a single parent, unemployed, and was actually overcommitted outside, meaning that this child is the one who was doing a lot. The father was doing all that he could, but the child was doing almost everything by themselves. So when this child comes to school, the teachers needed to listen and know what might be making this child either behave or look the way they are looking.
Yeah,
because at times, even when everything else has been done, we need to give a good hearing to our children.
Yes.
And I would say over the years, I have realized that children can really open up. And when they open up, they don't fear telling you their worries. I had also a case sometimes back, a discipline case, where their child was actually even blacklisted by some teachers. Oh, you are a bad person, you cannot even make it, you can, we all know, we passed through the hands of such teachers. And then what happened to this child? Exactly what you've heard my colleagues saying. The child went into drugs. This child went into other social evils. Until now, I invited the child and we talked. The child told me that one, the parent, that is the father and the mother, were not agreeing, and every time they were quarreling.
Okay.
Look at it. Number two, the provisions of this child were not being met, especially being a girl child. Are you with me now? So this child felt that he was completely out of place. And I remember as we talked, we moved on, we became great friends, and the child transformed. Those were many years ago. The child got transformed. Today, this child is a teacher.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a teacher. And why did the child select to be a teacher by then? It is because this child realized that she could transform even other teachers to make good the lives of children who are coming to their hands. I would say that a safe space at home and a safe space at school is what our children like.
I see.
And when you talk of this, like how we are here, I'm so happy that you have done something. As you are talking, as I arrived here, being the boy child, you really took care and said, we'll let you relax a bit. Look at that understanding. If a child went home or went to school late, do you ever think that the teachers might want to know what befell that child on the way? The child will actually be worked on before anything else. But what you've done is a very good example. You've said, calm down, relax, then you just get into whatever we are doing. So I would like to advise our facilitators that even if a learner entered a class late, don't just get angry with them, because maybe this child had an accident on the way, or maybe something else had happened. And because they are human beings like you or me, I would like us to take them with a lot of respect. Because the moment, even if a child was almost becoming an indisciplined case, and you brought them closer, imagine you correct them and they really appreciate.
Correction doesn't just come from
something else I'd like also to mention. Around 4 years ago, a grade 1 child came to my office. And this grade 1 child had even told the parents, I cannot go to class before seeing somebody. And the child specifically said they wanted to see me. So this child comes to my office and the child looked very angry. So we had a cup of tea together. And this is a small boy. And he tells me a lot of things. He told me a lot of things. But all the things he was telling me were the kiddish things. The things that have been mentioned here.
Yes.
The parents were accused. I am not allowed to access a phone. I am not allowed to watch TV. At times I'm not allowed to go and play. Those small kiddish things. So what I would say is that it is important right from home also for us as parents to make the kids understand, the children understand why some things are not permitted to them. Because now, like this child was very angry that I'm not allowed to take daddy's phone. You see?
And they don't understand why. Why are they allowed to take?
In fact, let's put it this way. We put a casual statement that the parents who normally tell their kids that taking alcohol is bad, but they have wine in the
in the fridge.
In the fridge. Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So in this case, the moment maybe a parent has the phone and you know that it is dangerous, or maybe if the kids used it would actually be bad for them. First, you can firewall it. Let the kids know the limits. Let the children know when to use and when not to use. And it is good for them to know that some sites are dangerous from as early as that age. And I know they will not give you problems. However, if you don't let them know, they will be wondering, if you're using the phone, why can't I use it? And you know now the children we are having today, they know their rights.
Oh yes.
You try to pull it away from them, they will now take offense. And
they will call Madame P.S. They have the numbers.
But before they even go to Madame P.S., they go to the school heads, especially if you are friendly to them. Because like for me, I direct one school, Sharp Education Center and Junior School. And I do befriend these children, and when actually they come to me, they tell me a lot of things. So I'm able to correct. At times I invite the parents. Some of them I have boarded them again because they are those ones who had made enmity with their parents, even at an early age. So it is important for our learners, our children from home and also at school to know exactly why we deny them some things.
Some things, yeah, because you know most of us when we were growing up we were told no and you're not supposed to ask questions. Like why are you asking questions? But now what you're saying is very true. Now you tell a child no, they'll ask you why. Why are you telling them no? So understanding the difference in terms of like generations and how we were raised versus how we need to raise them. I wonder whether we're due on a break. Philip, please advise. But I was to bring you up to the conversation, Madam PS, because during the break we were talking about some of the vices that we're seeing now in the society, and one of the things that the president actually has been very keen on is the rise in terms of like drugs and substance abuse right here in the country and what we're noticing. So can we speak about the role of parenting in sort of like preventing some of these vices, and also like Valerie mentioned, and plus so many other people being raised in a single family homes, and sometimes there's how people, I don't want to say society because we are the society, sometimes people are very quick to judge based on how you were raised and whatnot. What role does parenting, and especially from a father figure, right, play in terms of preventing some of these vices and also avoiding cases of single parenting?
Thank you very much. I just want to talk about the problem you have just mentioned about drug abuse in schools, which is currently on the rise. Actually, about 50% of the drug abusers are children, and that is the main concern that His Excellency raised during his New Year message, because children are the future. If 50% of children are abusing, 50% of drug abusers are children, and children are 42% of this nation. Then you can extrapolate
the math
what is going to happen in the future. And so by His Excellency coming out strongly that parents need to take great attention to care of children, he is emphasizing that the parent plays a key role in protecting a child. Of course, this particular issue of drugs extends to matters like in the institutions, also around the, for example, some drugs are sold through the institutions, but the key concern is also access to these drugs or substances around the surrounding where the children live, like in the kiosks. This means that some parents may not be in a position to know where their children go because at the time they access these drugs, where are the parents? And so even as they use, as a child gets into drugs, does the parent know? And so the role of the parent comes in here, because if you interact with your child on a daily basis, then you can see any slight change on this child. And so children, whether they are born in a single-led family or by both parents, these parents should take keen attention on what their children do, even as they come from school. If they go to school during holidays, spend some time to know what children are doing. And so this message, His Excellency is putting so that parents know the key role they play in a child's life. And if we have this, then we will have very few cases of children having problems. In my department, 70% of cases which are being reported, we have a child protection information management system and a child helpline, 116. 70% of these cases being reported are being attributed to parental neglect, whether it is one parent or both. And so I want to say that it is important that both parents be involved in the life of the children. But in cases where parents are separated and we have single parents, then it is good to give opportunity to both parents to be involved in the life of this child, because each person plays a great role in terms of development. So you would find, for example, a child living with a single mother will still miss the role of the father in their life. And it is really a great concern that the last census, which was done in Kenya, points towards an increase in single-led families, female-headed families. And this is affecting the growth of children. And the message I want to pass is that men should also take up the responsibility for us to avoid having the single-led families, especially female-headed families. We need the role of the males in the life of the children, because as they turn out to be their teenagers, we have boys especially who want to relate with their fathers, and in their absence, if they don't even have uncles around, they have a problem with identity as they grow up. They cannot relate well with the females as they grow up. And so it may end up into perpetuation of this kind of single-led families. So it is one key thing that I want to pass this message, that men should be involved in the life of their children in as much as the women are also involved. And let's not leave the role of care for children for women, but it should be holistic from both parents to give these children a chance to develop holistically.
We were discussing this during the break and said there's men who say between age 0 and 2, that is the mother's role. And then when they're able to walk and talk and whatnot, I'll take responsibility, because now we can go to the park, we can walk around, we can drive around. But that is not being involved holistically, what Madam PS is saying. Be involved, in all ways. Okay, so there's the aspect of balancing, okay, where there's some parents who are like, economy ni mbaya sana sahi, so we have to either work extra shifts, we have to work longer hours, we have to do what we can just to make sure that we are able to provide for our children. But then again, there's also this side where if you spend too much time at work, if you spend too much time, doing these other things in the name of providing for the kids, you're also missing out on certain aspects. So then as parents, how do we balance being present but also being able to provide for our children?
Okay, thank you. And you have used a very good word of balancing.
Okay.
And also about communication, because there are parents who are very busy and their children are okay, because there is communication in the family, there is a structure, so they understand my father or my mother is not available at this time, but you have also put structures in place to ensure that the children are being taken care of. Like I mentioned at the beginning, I run a rehabilitation center. It's called Nobility House Treatment Center. And this is where we get all these stories about why these young men and women are in addiction. And like I said, they share stories and you wonder, were they brought up by the same parents? You see?
Yeah.
So you will find a good percentage of them, they are talking about, separation in families, or a father that was very busy, or a mother that unfortunately went abroad to work. In fact, we have many of them, when you start taking the history, they say, my mother is in US, my mother is in house, and they have been, and I'm not saying it is wrong for parents to work even outside the country, but how have you prepared your children for, how are they going to be brought up? In whose hands have you left them?
Your children,
and that's why we talked about attention. When you're giving your children attention, you are able to notice when problems are happening. And we say that you don't have to be a helicopter parent who watches everything that the children are doing. But when there is big stuff happening, when your son's eyes are starting to turn red, when you start seeing the drugs paraphernalia in his room, that is big stuff that should not be ignored. It is time to take action. There are things you can ignore, but then there's the big stuff. And like the PS has said, the presence of the parents. And even when it is a family that is a female-led, if they are boys, we say that there is no woman that can turn a boy into a man. You have to bring in maybe a male relative to work with that boy and show him how men behave. And what I would want to mention at this stage is that about fixing our children in issues of addiction and mental illness. It is actually a concerted effort. Because like Dr. Wanjohi has said, you can produce a very good product and take them to school, then they are ruined at that point by the teachers. And that is why maybe at this point I can mention, I also serve in the Board of Mental Health, and we have what we are calling school mental health guidelines, guidelines for school mental health. And this is where we are trying to make the school a safe space for all the children. Understanding that as the children come, they are coming with different experiences. Like the stories that we have just had. A child, like I also remember, I used to be a teacher. There's one day a boy came to school and he came late, and the teacher on duty was on him with canes and all that. And then he was asked to go and kneel down. It is a time when children would be asked to kneel down. I don't know whether they still have it. Then as the boy was kneeling, some people came from the estate, and they said they were coming for him. And we asked why. So they said, this boy, his mother died this morning. And he actually left the mother dead in bed, and he came to school. So from that day, I said, like Dr. Wanjohi said, it is good to listen. It is good to find out what is happening before you condemn, before you judge.
I see.
So what you have asked is about balancing, ensuring that children understand that I am a doctor. I work these shifts, And when they know that, they'll be okay. And of course, you have put structures in place to ensure that they are not on their own, they are not abandoned, they are not neglected.
Something is working.
And let me just mention that when you talk about vulnerable children, sometimes we go to the, you know, the villages, the slums, and think that those are the vulnerable children. What about these children who are living in the high-end estates with no parents in sight, just the workers, and so they're just interacting with gadgets, and you know, the workers and the parents are nowhere to be found, no guidance, no nothing. We are getting many of them also in the rehab centers. So when we talk about vulnerable children, it is not just those who lack food and all that, even those who are lacking the attention and the presence of the parents. They need to be put in that category.
Thank you for bringing that up, really, because most of the time we don't see that as a problem, because even some of the parents will say, but so you have a roof over your head, so you have food, so you have everything that you would need. What else do you need? But there's also this other aspect that they need, and not just. That's very important. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. And Valerie, when we're talking about identity and the need to belong and just that sense of belonging, and like we said, when we're talking about children today, not just the under fives, we're looking at the teenagers, the preteens, and the teens as well. So then how do we empower them to not let the circumstances define who they are, and even as they go out to the world and interacting you know, with the others, and case in point, those ones who just received their results, right, and they're trying to understand, okay, so does this mean the grade that I got defines who I am, or how do I shift, you know, and understand that I am beyond, right? I am beyond what I got. What is it?
And so I founded organization here, Kindred Hearts Alive, Kenya, right? To do transformational work in the communities, in the universities, and some of the local churches, right? And what it is it's a perspective. It is being able, let me start here. There's the question, right? Are we a product of society, or is society a product of us? And to be able to unpack that, right? And it will allow a shift in thinking, in reality. What I mean by that is because our lives look a certain way and we have a certain routine, all we see is this right here, when the world is to the left and to the right. And so the work that we do, or that I do in transformation, is to impose the stretching of the reality. You are not just this. You have to have some mentorship. You have to have different voices of support, right? Even with mental health, with young girls in healing circles, where, as Daisy shared, with they can share stories and so forth. In order to shift perceptions, again, as the doctor mentioned here, you have to be able to hear them. You have to be able to ask what is really going on, and to be able to impart in a way that they understand that, or redesign. Often kids feel like, as you refer to, a grade, that is my identity, right? But see, a word that I have a lot of trouble with, and I see with young kids in education, is failure. We teach kids the context of failure. For what? True failure is a learning curve. It doesn't mean you are nothing. It's now you know you have to go another way to do this. When you teach a child that, how to apply possibility, it's like creativity. The more you apply it, the more there is. That light bulb goes off, they start to get inspired. They say, oh, I can still go and try again with a different heart and a different esteem, if that makes any sense.
I see that. And just to pick on that, Daisy as well, you know, aside from just teaching and just being a youth advocate, you also, you know, lead Every Black Girl Kenya, you know, initiative, which I find that very, very interesting, right? Because when you think about girls and our needs, and there's so many facets, and you know, that make us who we are, and sort of like informs the kind of women, you know, would become at some point, and mothers, you know, at that. So what sort of conversation happened, and what is it that you probably want to emphasize in terms of not just bringing up a girl, you know, in a safe world? And we were discussing this with our makeup artist in the morning, and said, sort of like the world was not made for with a woman's safety in mind. I don't know if that makes sense, because majority of the times you walk looking, hey, nani huyo ameniangalia, nani ananishika, you're being catcalled, you're being, like, it's a lot of things that, you know, we would face. So I wonder what sort of conversations, you know, probably come up from your, you know, the initiative that you lead, and what needs to be strengthened, especially when we're talking about the girl child. Daisy?
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. Thank you so much for that question. So in every black girl, okay, that's an umbrella organization that's currently based in the US, but now we have a Kenyan chapter. We are not only looking at the girl child alone. We are just, our theme is we are aiming at creating a world where every young person thrives, every young girl thrives, and whereby the surrounding, the environment of the girl thrives. The meaning of the environment is that, like where we are seated right now, we are not just ladies, we have men.
Yes.
So we want to as well educate the men on even on the issues to do with gender-based violences. We want to educate them. We want them to understand that we can all live in a safe space, and by doing that we can all cohabit and, you know, support one another.
Yes.
And achieve our full potential.
That. Yeah, it's not us versus them, it's us together.
Yes.
What can we do to support one another? That's really, really beautiful. I see our time is far much spent. We have less than 10 minutes to go, so Genevieve is going to bring you in here and now. In terms of looking at our laws, for example, and when we're looking at cybersecurity, again, this conversation, we had so much of it for the better part of last year, and especially towards the end. But from where you sit, what is it that we need to strengthen on? What is it that we need to probably introduce harsher fines, if that's a thing? Or what is it that we need to change, you know, in terms of how much access, what our children are accessing, and how we can shield them. And this is as a whole, from a family setup to you know, as professionals, and even from the government perspective. Very briefly, so that we have everybody taking their partition.
Yeah, for one, digital literacy.
Okay.
I read a report as of last year, February, 17% of 12 years to 17 years had access to digital literacy. Like they are able to say they've had digital literacy.
And they understand.
So when you find there is a decrease in digital literacy, then the digital manners, the digital responsibility, the digital citizen, it is not there.
Yeah.
They're just there to do their thing, to navigate and do whatever they like. So I'd like digital literacy to be there, so that they are able to understand. Yes, this is a screen, but
Beyond
the other side,
that, yes,
there is also a person, and you find there is an increase also in TFGBV, tech facilitated gender-based violence.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because you just assume like the online harm like ends online. It doesn't. There is a person at the end of that screen.
Yeah.
So when the children understand this, they are able to be kinder online
to one another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing is to also like educate these kids, like not every person online is a good person, because in cases we've found like groomers, they first become the child's friend first. You see, the stranger danger, sorry, it is not there anymore. Because I remember like when we were little, we were like, don't talk to strangers, don't do this. Now they become the friends before they start grooming this person.
Okay.
So, you know, to navigate that, we just tell them like, this person has sent you a text, yes, ask them silly questions.
Okay.
As adults, we don't like silly questions, by the way, because you will get tired at some point.
Yeah.
So educate them like, not every person who's pretending to be a friend online is a friend to you.
I see. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. There's so much I want to say on that, but hey, time is not on our side. Dr. Wanjohi, I'd also bring you in terms of empowering our teachers or facilitators. Now we call them facilitators, right? And even just the school environment, school heads, for example, and even the government in association with schools to ensure that our children are safer and they thrive in learning institutions. What would you say in like 45 seconds?
Thank you very much. I would say that we need to come up with clear policies, and I'm happy that the PS is here, so that when we agree that this is the curriculum we are following, especially on the digital technology or maybe the literacy, we know exactly how it's to be done. And the teachers have to adhere to that, because at times we have got very good policies in our country, but they are never followed. Like what our colleague has mentioned, if we empowered our learners and they know exactly what they're supposed to do and the content they're supposed to get from online, then that's going to be okay. Nevertheless, we need to have the controls, and the controls can only be done through the policies, which should be actually enforced in our schools, just like the way you do the curriculum designs.
I see that. Okay, Valerie, in like 30 seconds is even too much, 20 seconds. In terms of helping our children find their identity, especially from a young age, when should those conversations begin, and what type of conversations should parents have with their children to help bring out who they are?
You know, they actually begin organically when children are infants. We begin to communicate with them in a certain way that is very intimate and connected. But as they get older and have more ability, physical ability, the conversation sort of changes because they have more physical ability, and we don't equate the intimacy along with it. So to answer the question, I would say that it's from the beginning, the intimacy, creating, seeing the child, hearing the child, feeling what the child is saying, creating space for them to roam around, bump their head, discover, and so forth. But the conversation, we've all spoke about how communication is so important to that. The communication inside of that actually creates the belonging.
I like that. Thank you very much. And for the parents who are watching us and saying, I was never given these tools to be a parent and to help my child, what would you say in like 10 seconds?
All right. I think that for parents, the idea is to ask yourself, what kind of child do I want 10, 15 years, 20 years down the line? So what do I need to do now? You know, like we have talked about, as children who grow up with a sense of belonging. Because parenting cannot be delegated, unfortunately. It doesn't matter who you ask your child to, to bring up your child, cannot be delegated. So it's about intentional parenting, ensuring that you prepare them for the world, you give them the proper tools so that their self-esteem is okay, they have a sense of belonging, they can run back home when they have problems, you know, ensuring that they have the 5 A's. And parents also educating themselves about, you know, the positive parenting. It is all over the internet and everything. The information is available. Intentional parenting.
Intentional parenting. Okay, and P.S. to just close the conversation. Oh gosh, in like 20 seconds as well, national values that will help, you know, all the parents and everybody involved in nurturing our children. What would you say?
As I close, I just want to say that we do have strong laws and policies in place to protect our children. I mentioned the Constitution, the Children's Act, and currently we are developing the integrated early childhood policy, which is taking into consideration issues of digital safety, and also this will be out soon. I want to talk about recently we also reviewed the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act last year to protect for heavy punishment on cyber bullying, especially on children. And so we have strong laws, but our success will be measured only when our children are safe at home and in school. Therefore, the role of parents is very key on protection at home, and the role of teachers is very key at school.
All right, I see that. Thank you so much, Madam P.S. And so sorry for rushing you, but hey, time is not on our side. But thank you so much for coming by today. Clearly 2 hours is not enough. We need like 5 to discuss this and to protect our children. But thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for the insights that we got today. And thank you for staying with us as well until the end of the show. My name is Winnie Lubembe. Enjoy the rest of your day. Please keep in mind that all our children need to be safe and to be provided for, okay? See you tomorrow right here on Your World.